second day in full pads. Wednesday was that first. We went spiders yesterday, and just the way it works, 25 practices, 8 can be in full pads, 8 have to be in spiders and in between. So that's why we balance it out the way we do. But good intensity today as the guys went out there. We did some situational work, creating some third downs and the short yardage goal line at the tail end, and liked the way the guys competed. I know those situations you typically game plan for. So days like today, when it's not a matter of planning necessarily, it's really just to see who's gonna win at the point of attack, who's gonna be able to make that play, whether that's offense, defense, and I think it was relatively balanced through the day. But I know I spoke about the running back position, getting those guys opportunities now to play live football really for the first time. It was good to see. It'll be good to see how that played out when we look at the tape today. So pleased with our continued progress, and we know we still got a ways to go, but I think our days are stacking up now, and our guys are taking it one day at a time like we need to.
I know you said you have to look at the film, but anything that has stood out with full pads so far?
Yeah, I think we're figuring out how to be more physical, and that's a lot of times it's a choice, but a choice that goes in play when you've put in more work. And I do think that's both sides of the football. So then you make that choice to be physical, you can be physical, and it's the technical aspect really does come into play as well. So how those individual battles, some of those double teams, guys taking on double teams went, I was trying to be the official too, so I didn't see it all at the tail end, but it sounded like football at the very least, and there was some give and take. You don't want those situations to be one-sided, and there was some back and forth between the two groups.
So Ryan Leaf talked to the team yesterday. Yeah. I guess what sparked that? What made that come about?
Well, his story is well known. He's only a year younger than me, so different than maybe our players. I mean, I lived through the time when his story unfolded, and how he's come out on the other side of a lot of ups and downs. It's apparent he's found a way to give back, and having seen him do it with some other programs over the last couple of years in the off season, after he actually tweeted a couple things relative to the Cats around Cat Grizz and game day and everything, I said he must be on the Cat Grizz side. Coach Housewright had reached out to him back then, and I think he just opened the door for potentially for something to happen. It lined up with him being in Bozeman for another engagement this week, and he was glad to do it, and he really did a phenomenal job of telling his story, relating his story to those guys sitting in those chairs that are at a very vulnerable state of their lives, and talked a lot about choices and related it to his story, and I know it's really important for him at this stage in life to give back in that form, and he certainly did that with our team yesterday.
Ty's not out there with anybody. I guess other guys like Christian, Tavian, I guess how have those other receivers kind of looked?
Yeah, I think CT, and I go right to the top, I think continues to make plays and become more and more consistent. Junior, I think, is continuing to work himself into our offense. But then, to your point, I think Christian is continuing to make strides. Tavian's a guy that is he's going to be a senior here. He's been around for a long time and really hasn't got that crack. But I think he's shown that he can be a reliable guy. Through this first stretch. So, that whole room is continuing to figure itself out, I guess. But I'm pleased with their efforts, and excited to get Ty back here sooner than later. But we need to keep moving forward.
I asked Coach Johnson this question too. How have you kind of seen the offensive line develop their pass protection in this first week and a half, especially with the live play now?
Yeah, I think it certainly hasn't been perfect, but I think we're getting some really good work, and the progress is being made. And I think the good thing is, you look on the other side, they're going against some really good pass rushers, and that's a plus for our team as well. So technically, I know Coach Johnson's, I think, taking them to another level. I think the communication factor and their willingness to communicate, I think they're figuring that piece out, because rarely do you get 4 guys straight rushing, and you're going to get twists, and you're going to get pressures and those type of things. And communicating those movements is really important. So working together, technique. I think seeing the value in what Coach Johnson's been able to bring is all unfolding. And I know we're not where we want to be, but we're making progress.
I think you mentioned that he's had kind of Zach Black kind of, going at that center position a little bit. How have you kind of seen him develop there? Having somebody else other than just Justice.
It wouldn't be Zach Black.
Who was it?
Nyland.
Zach Nyland.
Sorry, it's not Zach.
Yeah, right. Both from Meridian though.
There we go.
No, yeah, I think Zach is a center of the future. In all likelihood, Zach will redshirt this year, but I think looking at Justice having 2 years left, if JT's going to snap, he's got 2 years left. Holden Sampson's another guy that snapped. He's a junior as well. We need to develop a young guy, and I think it does suit Zach well. I know Coach Armstrong was mostly part of Zach's recruiting side of things, and we saw him as a guy that could be a center. So a long ways to go, but he's a big, strong, diligent young man that I think all those things come into play when playing that position. You got to be smart, you got to be willing to communicate, and I think he's got the makings to be a really good center down the road.
A few NFL teams were represented here. I guess, is there anything you can speak on?
Yeah,
that?
I think we've had a one apiece each of the last 3 days, and I think that's a testament to the guys before the guys we have now and their success. Having the number of guys we have, in camps on rosters right now, I think it probably tells those teams that Bozeman's a place we have to stop. In addition to the guys we have, the 5th and 6th year guys right now, I think there's a good number of those guys that are worthy of the look, the consideration. So I think it'll be a pretty steady stream as we continue through camp. I think each and every one of our guys that has that potential, it's just potential right now. They're going to have to back it up with a really good year here this coming season, and then see where it takes them. But appreciate the NFL continue to keep its eyes on Bozeman.
I guess bouncing off of that, did you watch the Seahawks game at all last night?
I did catch a little bit, yeah, and it was great to see Ty running around. He looked absolutely comfortable. He texted me back this morning after I texted him that he didn't make all the plays, but it was a blast. And I think for him, that opportunity then to play against the Vikings in his first game, his hometown team was pretty unique. But you look out there and you say, does a guy belong? And I think Ty looked like he belonged, whether it was special teams or defense. And he's got to make it as hard on the Seahawks as they possibly can to take as long a look as they can, and I think they'll continue to grow on that.
Another recent visitor to practice, Dennis Erickson. Yeah. Just curious if you got to visit him, what it meant to see him out there.
Yeah, what a day yesterday, huh? And Coach Erickson had texted me. He's typically come over for some practices. He's got a group of college buddies that live here that they get together every year. But I know coming out to practice and sharing his thoughts, his wisdom is always something that's a priority to him. This program matters immensely to him, and it's just good to, for me to be able to stand with him for whatever 15-20 minutes, and we just kind of go around the field and talk about our guys and to get his take on how someone look, how someone move. I mean, it obviously means a lot. He's seen a lot and had a ton of success, but for him to want to come back here and give back, and I know he's being honored this fall with the highest award an alum can be awarded with, so real special for our university to recognize him, because he's continued to want to give back and come back, and that matters a lot.
I guess having a day like yesterday, have Ryan Leaf here, Dennis Erickson. I mean, I guess what effect do you feel like that has on the players and kind of the team heading into the season?
Well, I think twofold. I think Coach Erickson, he has spoken to the team, so I think it's just his presence. I think it just says, all the former players that want to come back. I think that's something that is noteworthy to all our guys. Because they're going to be former players at some point, and you really want to impress upon them that staying involved and continue to be part of the program should be a priority of yours. On the flip side, our guys getting a chance to hear from Ryan was great. I think his story, he's telling it all over the country, but it certainly hits home a little bit differently here, being Ryan's from Great Falls. and I think our Montana natives, I think, would be more than aware of who he was and what he accomplished, and accomplishing those things out of Montana. So it was, you kind of sat back, listened. Our guys were so engaged, and Ryan even commented on that, how, there wasn't eyes that came off him the whole time, and that's not typically how it feels in a room with that many young men in it. So I appreciated our guys hearing him, and felt like that through his story, something had to resonate. Even the simplest things that he talked about, the choices that he didn't maybe make correctly, that now he's trying to, have others learn from his mistakes, so to speak. It was very impactful hour plus that he spoke to the team, and I don't think that's something our guys will soon forget about.
Are there any other plans to have people come out, like Bill Kohler? I know he kind of mentioned that he'd eventually want to come out.
Yeah, he kept coaching though. That coaching thing he couldn't quite get rid of. I had imagined, we'll continue. I think as many, in particular, former players that we can have engage the team, even if it's in small doses. We did several even through videos or Zoom last year. Former players, former coaches that I think, a couple things. There's going to be a little bit of wisdom for sure, but I think what I hope is how important this place is to them, years removed, and then how important our success means to them. So, we'll continue to do those things throughout the season.
Just curious about a few names that were on the spring roster that aren't on this roster. Ethan Abbott, Michael Holverson, Ryland Swarthout, and then Luke Feddick. I just was wondering.
Yeah, so Ethan's no longer in school here, taking the pivot with his plan. Michael, kind of similar deal. Michael is from Utah, transferred back to the University of Utah for school. Swarthout had been injured, transferred from Wyoming. When I came out for a few days in the spring, and I think he realized that he didn't want to keep playing football. So that happened sometime during the spring. And Luke had some serious, I shouldn't say serious, he had an injury that needed medical attention that would keep him out for an extended period of time. So while he's not rostered now, it's our plan that he's still in school here, that it would become part of the program again.
Okay.